Thank you everybody for being here this morning. If you could quiet your cell phones, and just a reminder, this is a HOA meeting for HOA business only, so we're not going to discuss the club or the sale of the amenity or Taylor Morrison or Hampton Golf this morning. We do have a quorum here this morning, so I'd like to call the meeting to order, the annual membership meeting for the Solivita Community Association on this day, November 7th, 2018 at 10:30 a.m. If we could all stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I do have some introductions. Board members, if you could state your name and title, please.
I'm Matt Young, President. I'm Matt Corda, Vice President.
All right, and I think that is all the Taylor Morrison representatives here this morning, correct? Kelly's on her way.
Kelly's on her way. She'll be here in about 5 minutes.
All right, I'll introduce, we do have a vendor here today, Brad from Floralon. It happens to be his birthday today. So, because I want to embarrass him, if we could just all sing, I'll help, okay? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Brad. Happy birthday to you. As far as the Evergreen staff, when I introduce you, if you could stand so that everybody can see your smiling faces. And if I miss somebody or mispronounce your name, I apologize ahead of time. From Evergreen, we've got Craig Carmichael, President and CEO. Manny Morgan, Regional Manager of Central Florida. Angelica Rice, Director of Client and Homeowner Services. Jason Brown, Director of Maintenance for Evergreen. For the compliance, we have Yolanda Santiago, who's the Community Standards Manager. Madalena Smith, the Compliance Coordinator. Rohita Prasad, Compliance Coordinator. For site accounting, we have Sue Basant. And I did not see Nellie. We have Raj Henneman, who's the Administrative Assistant. Carolyn Rowe in Communications. Vicki Kellogg in Membership. Laura Bynum in Membership. We have Director of Site Services, Rudy Batista. And I don't see Steve, the Director of Security, here yet. From the Solivita Club, Sherry Walschlager. Luis Velez, the Director of Solivita Maintenance. And Jamar Edge, the Fitness and Wellness Director. Did I miss anybody? Not on purpose. We didn't have a late comer. We'll let her introduce herself from the Board of Directors. Just say your name and your title, please.
Hi, Kelly Finley with Taylor Morrison, VP of Marketing.
All right, you guys saw the slideshow when you came in. We'll have it looped again at the end. There's about 65 slides, and then we'll e-blast it out to you. I was going to stop and show some of it, but I think for the interest of time, we will e-blast it, but we'll also loop it again at the end. In accordance with Florida State Statute, the notice is mailed to all members. Mailing addresses on file with county records right around October 19th of 2018. For the meeting minute approval, in the interest of time, we will not be reading the 2017 annual membership meeting minutes. These are included in the agenda package. Has the board had time to review these minutes, and if so, are there any comments? Okay.
We have reviewed them and there are no comments on this.
Can I have a motion to accept the minutes as written, please?
Make a motion to accept as written.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let the record reflect the board has passed the 2017 meeting minutes unanimously. We're to a point in our agenda here where I call the first Q&A. Per the Florida statutes, we may now take questions regarding agenda items that were mailed to homeowners with the proposed 2019 budget. However, as we go over the financial review, the status of the community, hopefully many of your questions will be answered. So if you have, if you could wait, that'd be fantastic. But if you do have questions, if you could state your name and address and only ask questions related to associates of business, please. There will be time at the end for questions.
Hi, Mike. Okay. I'm Manik Master. I live on 759 San Rafael Street. I had a side conversation with Tyler, but I want to make sure I will make it official. Somewhere in the mailings that you guys sent out, it said something about negotiating a new contract with Spectrum. I would strongly advise you, and apparently there's a company you hired that will give you half the savings back to us and keep half the savings, which is not a bad idea in theory. But I don't know why you would negotiate a contract with a cable provider. The technology is changing so fast. 2 years down the road, when we have 5G deployments all over the place, you know, Spectrum may not even be providing anything to anybody. Right now, from what I understand, we are paying about $35 out of the HOA to get what we get. At least once a month, sometimes twice a month, I get a letter from Spectrum saying they provide the same thing to me for $30. And in fact, I don't need that either. You can buy Sling for $20 and get everything that you guys are getting for $35. So I would urge you to think about why anybody from a homeowner's point of view needs to have cable and a contract that locks us in for multi-years. I'm sure there are exit clauses, but you know, even right now, there are enough providers that there's some competition. And then the way Spectrum is structured, you have the wholesale and the retail guys on different sites, so if you want to add something or subtract something, it's like a real pain in the neck, because when you call Spectrum, they don't know what the HOA deal is, etc. So anyway, I'd urge you to reconsider having a long-term contract with anybody like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Real quick, it's a great question, and I'll give you guys some little background where we're at right now. Spectrum, as you guys know, it's a 10-year agreement. It was started back in 2000 when they put all the infrastructure in here and came in as a cable provider for AV homes, Avatar at that time. They paid for the infrastructure, so they put it in a bulk cable agreement, which most master planning communities for the last, 10, 15 years have done bulk cable agreements. So it's been in place since then. It's been renewed a couple times along the way, not renewed, but renegotiated during the time to get better terms, better rates. We're doing that right now. The only out clause that we have, and I think Tyler shared this, I think in the questions and answers, is that if they're not comparable and compete with us or not able to provide the service at the cost of what we're wanting, and that's what the negotiators are doing, then that's our out to the contract. Then we can allow anybody else to come in if that makes sense. So you can have your internet TV, you can have, you know, AT&T, Verizon, whatever you want, Hulu, YouTube TV, whatever it may be, you can have those options as a homeowner. Our goal is hopefully, my goal is to have more variety for you guys. Right now, there's no case law. I've talked about this, I think, in every annual meeting for the last 4 years. There's no case law right now that has the bulk cable agreements that have got, there's some homeowners associations that have gotten out of them. There's none based on technology, which I think that's coming. And I think we're gonna be in those areas probably the next year or two, is my feeling. But hopefully we can get a negotiated contract right now that we're held to by Spectrum at a way lower rate, and that's what we're working on. Hopefully we can get internet package, because I think there's like 90% of homeowners in Solivita right now have internet with Spectrum outside of it. So we're trying to get those two bundled together at your price you're paying right now. That's our goal. So we can at least get internet in there. So we're trying to get them down on that price. The savings was, it's not 50%, I know.
No, I think think maybe 30 or 35%.
I think it's 30% is what it is on that contract with our consultant that's working with us right now with Spectrum to negotiate that contract. If they get savings, they get 30% of that. So whatever that savings may come to. But in general, that's a negotiation contract those guys are working through. So hopefully we'll have more information. Our goal is to get out of that contract. If we can find a loophole to get out of it, our attorneys have looked at it, the association attorneys looked at it. And then these guys with the contractors looking at it too. Is there any outs that we can get out of that contract? So we're working on that too as well.
Any others right now? All right, we'll move on. Thank you to the community review section.
Excuse me.
All right, my name is Myron Golden. I live at 1022 Shorehaven Drive. I'm going to ask a couple of questions regarding this budget. You give us budgets for 16, 17, and 18. It's passed. Why don't we have the actuals? Okay? How come there's no balance sheet? When you prepare a budget, you have a cash flow, and in order to make it balance, you have to have a balance sheet at the end. We never have a balance sheet. One other question. How many homes are here? 4,669 based on 2008? Is that the number, Gary? Correct?
It's going to be, that's what we're projecting if they close.
No, 2008. What we paid, the budget numbers is 4,669.
That's going to be for 19, correct?
No, that's for 18.
No, at the end of, basically the end of this year, December 31st, 2018, there's going to be 4,669 at the end.
That's what I said.
Yes, at the end of this year.
Right, okay. Now, does that include the courtyard homes?
That does include the courtyard homes
Okay.
as well.
If you divide the 2008 number, it comes out to $179 a month that each one of us paid towards the assessment. Now, the courtyard homes, they get extra things as evidenced by your numbers 50-5158 for $7,500, 60-6300 for $18,000, and 60-6310. That's another $60,000. That's $85,500. And if you divide that by 158 and you divide it by 12, you come out with 4509, that they should be paying more than us. Where's the number?
So how do you get to that number? So if you take
Very simple. I'll go over it again. All right, you have 3 items that you list in your expenses.
Yep.
Total $85,500. You divide it by 158 homes, which is $541.14 a year. Then you divide it by 12, it comes out to 4509. That does not include, I believe, per Tyler, he said to me the other day that we pay, that there is an escrow for the painting of the homes.
That's correct.
All right? Now, I lived in South Florida, painting of a home is roughly $2,000. All right? Where is the reserve for the 45 plus for the $2,000 to paint their house every 7 years?
So right now you're funding the courtyard. People that live in the courtyards are paying $1,357 per home towards reserves for painting their courtyards.
Yeah, but where is it in your $10,230? Because if you take the $10,230,000 and you divide it by 4669 homes, you come up with $180.50. $183, which is the $3.50 that you're saying that you're going to hit us with an increase.
Yeah, I will sit down with you or anybody else and go through those numbers so we can bullet point down on all those so you can see where we came up with our numbers that drive to the 200.
Well, I'm not done yet.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay? If you look at 65,620,
I know.
all right, for the math shows 1994,596, which comes out to 3560 a home. Okay? Now, if you divide it by 4,669, if you divide the 2,042,148 by the 3560, you're coming up with 225 additional homes. So if we're doing gardening for additional 225 homes, where's the income for the additional homes?
They're throughout the year. Guys, remember, this is a projection of when.
Well, but you never give
Let me
us
finish.
the actual, Gary.
Can I give you,
Yeah,
can I
go
give
ahead.
you my
I'm
response,
listening.
please? Okay. There's a total of homes we're projecting right now, if 80 homes can, or Taylor Morrison, if they complete their homes by the end of this year, they're gonna be at that 4,669, okay? If they
Fine.
don't, they're gonna be short of that, which could happen too, right?
Right.
Okay. The 210 homes that's projected for next year, it's throughout the year, right? It's not all in 1 month, it's not in the front load, it's throughout the year.
Fine.
So those are phased in our budget. If you sit down with me, I'll show you where it's phased in. And I did with a bunch of residents. We sat down and we went through each of the line items, budget, and I'll do it with you too as well. So you can see how it adds up the landscape. When a new yard comes on, we have an expense with a contract with floor lawn. It tells us a 50-foot lot is this much. A courtyard lot is this much. Courtyards are $30 for each courtyard. It's $30 for landscape.
I can understand.
All of them have their different ones.
But if I
Adds
took
up.
an average
Yes.
for your 2008 number, and then I divided it into your 2019 number for gardening, you're short 225 homes. You're short, if you're counting the expense, you gotta count the income.
We'll sit down. Let me go through it with you. I'll sit down with you, spend all the time. So we
Because I'm
line
telling
item,
you, you're short $493,000 on 225 homes.
I'll sit down
At the
with
one,
you.
at the 18260.
Okay.
All right, now, this I've had a beef with you from the last time. All right? You tell me that your fringe benefits is 35 to 32%? How?
30.
Hey, let me make everybody aware of this.
Yeah.
Your Social Security and Medicare is .0765. Your state unemployment on the first $7,000 per employee is 2.7%. Your federal unemployment is .008. So maybe if you average it out, you're up to maybe 9% on your total payroll. How does it come out to 32%?
Health insurance. You forgot the big one. Health insurance.
Yeah, but you wait a second, Gary. How many people have
Craig.
health insurance?
It's Craig. Not
Craig,
Gary.
I'm sorry. Craig,
I didn't know we had beef.
Well, you have-
It's health insurance is what it is. So you have the 9%, 10% it actually rounds to. You're about 10% with payroll taxes. The rest of it's health insurance. So for Tyler and for the staff that we introduced on the HOA side, that's including, as you guys know, health insurance has only done what? Gone up, right? I'm gonna tell you what my true cost is right now. It's 30%, it's around 30%. So 2% is for us processing the payroll, taking care of the insurance for Evergreen. I make 2% on that, if you really wanna break it down. I'll sit down and show you all of our numbers. I make 2%. Like I said, sit down with me, I'll go through all the numbers with you.
Now, let me
I'll go
ask
with
you,
it.
last
Yep.
question.
Yep, go for it.
Go for it.
Yep,
Management fee,
yep,
$68,000.
correct.
Comes out to $1.22 per household. Went up $32,000. That's what you have in 19. 32,000, 100,387. That's a $32,000 increase.
Yeah, we're, so
65, 65, 35.
35. So last year we were at 68,000, or this year I should say, is 68,237. We increased it, it was $1.25 per home is what it was. Per closed home is what we charged on the
Okay.
management fee. So it went to $1.75, we went up 50 cents. I have not increased the management contract in 7 years. And here's the thing, if I wait until transition to increase you guys, when the transition committee takes over the board's
You haven't been here 7 years, Gary.
Yes, I have. I've been here since 2011. My name's Craig.
We had Craig, you have not, Evergreen has not been here 7 years.
I was with AAM before. I was the guy that ran this community. in
I
2011.
remember,
Yeah.
and that's when I got up in front of you, and I said to you when you had Tony Iori with the club,
Yeah.
when we were buying the club, and I said to him, who's gonna buy a club and lose $77,500? And you got up in front of me, and you said to me, if I come to a meeting on Friday, you'll show me the real numbers. This was all on a recorded line. I'll show you the real numbers. That's why I don't believe these numbers. You're not showing us a balance sheet.
Let me go back to your other question too. Your balance sheet, what he's referring to is on your monthly financials, which are posted on the HOA website every month. The balance sheet is there, all the expenses, all your income is there, what the expenses actually are, it's all on there. And we're audited, so you know this, every year by statute, our financials on the HOA are audited every year. They go through everything in it. So from all of our contracts, all of our, anything that's gone on in the balance sheet, anything that's gone on in the income and the expense, it's audited every year. Okay? Third-party auditor, it's Full Associates that's been doing it for the past 8 years, 9 years here at Solivita. They do an independent, and that audit is posted on the website. You can read the audit, it's there. All your financials, you can go back for the last, I think 4 or 5 years, right, on there? Or all on there, all the financials. Every month it's there for the HOA.
But you don't do cumulative, you just do individual.
So budgets for the HOA, so I'm glad you're asking these questions because a lot of people have these questions. The HOA, what we give you guys per the statute is a build-out budget. This should be a build-out budget, not an operational budget. I've kind of made it an operation for you guys to understand what the contracts are. When a builder comes into a community, I'm gonna stand up so people in the back can see me. When a builder comes into a community, any size community, they do a build-out budget. Why do they do a build-out budget? So when it gets to transition, we know what needs to operate that community, right? Okay? That's all by statute, that's all the developer, that's all the management company is about, is a build-out budget. There goes.
It's me, it's mine.
Hey.
It's mine, I apologize. Oh, come on. I apologize.
It's okay. So build-out budget is what we're supposed to be doing. Over the years, and we've done that, and that's still a build-out budget you have in front of you, but what we've done is taken the solid numbers and said this is where you're at right now, number of homes, this is what its expenses, okay? We still have a build-out budget that we go off of. In the back end, we have a build-out budget. So when it turns over to transition to homeowners and they're fully gone at 100%, our goal is there's no increase in assessments, and we're on that path. And I've shared that with a couple of homeowners. I've shown them, if you take the remainder of the homes that need to close at 5598, because that's build out, 5598 right now.
I know.
And if I take that number where right now we're at, we have a surplus, okay, which is good. So at turnover, we're gonna be cash flush. Versus the other way where we'd be saying, hey, you're going from here all the way up, you're jumping up in assessments. That's why we do a build out. This is more of kind of a build out operation you're seeing today. We have a true build out that shows everything. All the phases coming on, all the homes that come on, their landscape contract to the aquatic maintenance side of it, anything that's under the HOA security too as well. That's all in that build out budget. Okay? And I'll be willing to sit down with you. And I've said that before, sit down with me.
All right.
Larry's taken me up every year for the last, 10 years, I think? Me and Larry have sat down quite a bit. He sat down with me twice this year, 3 times maybe this year, but a lot of guys have. I said at the annual meeting last year, if you have anything on the financials from the HOA, sit down with us. We'll sit down with all the numbers, show you the contracts, give you all the information, answer your questions.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll move on to the committee reports. Joyce, if you want to come give the advisory committee report.
Good morning. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Joyce Colvin. I'm the current chairwoman of the Solivita Advisory Committee. Some of you may not even know what the advisory committee is. We're a group of 9 residents, we're volunteers, and we serve 3-year terms, and we have 3 members leaving at the end of each year, and 3 new members coming on at the beginning of the next year, allowing for good representation in the Solivita community. We've just had our selection process for 2019. If you're at all interested in being part of this committee, you will see applications posted, actually not posted, but sent out by the HOA in email blasts. And that's the time of the year where the applications are reviewed and people are interviewed and appointed for the following year. So I encourage you, if you're at all interested. And what we do, we're basically a liaison between the residents, of which we all are on the committee, and the developer. So if you have concerns or issues that you want the developer or the HOA to know about, we're the people who try to get that message to them and try to get some resolutions on your concerns. We're also on the HOA website. You would go under committees. Each of us is listed there with our biographies and our personal contact information. So if you have any issues and you don't know what to do, get in touch with one of us, because that's our function and that's what we try to do. We're strictly an advisory group of people. We have no power to change anything, but we can bring your concerns and your thoughts and any issues you might have to the appropriate people. And if the committee feels it's justifiable, we're going to stay on it and see if we can't get somebody to help out with what we want to do. So basically, with that said, I'd just like to give you a very short list of, very concise list of what type of things we accomplished this year and what we hope to see happen at the end of this year and into next year. We finally finished the update and the revision of the Solivita handbook. And if you're not familiar with that handbook, I encourage you to go into HOA. It is in a downloadable format, and it's got everything you need to know about living in Solivita, whether you're new or you've been here a while. It's a good wealth of information, so I encourage you to get your hands on it and keep it as a reference. We worked closely with Vital Security, the new company that was brought in this year. They made presentations to us, introduced their staff, told us how they were going to monitor the community, and they give us regular updates at our meetings so that we can look and see if there are any loopholes or any places where we can ask them to either increase or decrease something. The golf cart rules were updated this year. Initially, it was going to be a one-year renewal on the licenses you purchased to put on your golf carts. And we unanimously decided we're going to go to 5 years with that there's really no need to do that annually. So that was established. As you know, Solivita has 6 gates, and that can get confusing to people coming into the community, and even some of us that live here, to refer to the gates in different ways. So the gates got signage put up, identifying the west gate versus the Parkway gate versus the south gate. So now all the gates are marked. Over at Venezia, they had a gate system that had 2 10-foot security arms, and we've changed that to 1 17-foot to remedy some issues over there. As you know, we've got people that drive too fast here at Solivita, and because of that, we had some sandhill crane deaths this year. And so we brought Fish and Wildlife in to try to give us some ways of dealing with this. Now, speeding is the first way, and that's up to you folks. But what we did was get Living with Wildlife signs posted to try and let you folks remember as you drive by that you're sharing this community with a lot of native species, and we want to keep it that way. And we put together, with Wildlife's assistance, information on the HOA website. So if you want to know what a gopher turtle looks like, we took all the animals that live in here, and they're well explained. You can download information on snakes and alligators and what we're living with, how to deal with them, and please be careful. So hopefully the signs will help with that. We were told that the golf cart path from Treviso to the grill at night was very dark for the residents to get over there. So working to get reflective lighting on those paths to make it easier for residents to navigate in the dark. We had some people using the Venezia and the Bellaviana tunnels for more than golf carts. So we got golf cart only signs made up and posted, and hopefully we'll only see golf carts in those tunnels now. We're part of the group that reviews the budgets. Again, we don't really have any say in how it goes down, but again, in an advisory capacity, if we feel there's a need for maybe more money in a certain area, we at least voice our concerns. And again, we just interviewed and selected 3 new members that will start in January. Now, pending things that are still on the table and things we hope will come to some sort of resolution either before the end of the year or early next year, additional lighting for the Parkway gate. As you know, that gate's pretty dark at night, so we're trying to get that rectified. So because it's recessed a little bit more, we hope that we will get sufficient lighting in there. We're also working on a west gate. There's one entry point that is 2 lanes, and then there's a single lane, if you're familiar with the west gate. Because of security concerns, we're trying to get that double lane entry reduced down to a single lane. We've picked up some areas where a second car could come in if it was in the right position when the gate opened for one vehicle that had a license plate recognition. You're all familiar with the directional tower that sits at the end of the parkway that's just sitting there naked right now. The signage for that, we're waiting for Polk County to give, they technically have authority over that. That's going to be signage to point you to the west gate, the Parkway gate, the main gate, if you're coming off the Parkway. So we hope to see that get up soon. And the last item that we are talking to Taylor Morrison about is perimeter fencing along Cypress Parkway. When that tower was put in, there was a lot of empty space left. And we have the black wrought iron fencing that goes from the main gate, but it only goes as far as the firehouse. So a lot of the residents feel that that wrought iron black fencing should extend all the way through that area where the directional tower is and over to the Parkway gate, because a lot of that heavy vegetation was laid bare because of the construction, and some of the homes are very close to the highway now. So that's about it, and I sincerely hope that if any of you would like to be involved in this advisory capacity, that you will try and join us next year. Thank you.
All right, I'll have Donna come up for the landscape committee.
Thank you, Todd. My name is Donovan Brown. I'm chairman of the Landscape Committee. I've been a resident of Solivita since, we've owned a home here since 2008. My wife and I were living in Costa Rica when we bought here, and I stayed in Costa Rica until 2011, so I've really only been a permanent resident here since 2011. I have been on the Landscape Committee for 6 years, and I am a horticultural scientist. So I really have a feel for the landscaping of Solivita, understand a lot of the issues that we have to deal with, and really it's a passion for me. I really enjoy what I do and being able to serve the community. Our landscape committee is made up of 12 committee members. We've gradually expanded the committee over the years because the community was expanding, but even more than that, because we developed a couple of years ago a somewhat of a methodology that we had never utilized before, and that is that each of the committee members is assigned a portion of the committee, a neighborhood or a couple of neighborhoods, and those areas fit into the zones that are assigned by floor line to their their management staff. So they have 7 zones. And each of those 7 zones, we basically are kind of dividing up into a couple of neighborhoods that each of the landscape members is assigned to, that being their responsibility. And everybody that's on the landscape committee agrees to each month to review, move through, and ride through with their zone manager, their area of responsibility, so that they can come back to the committee at our annual meeting, at our monthly meeting, and provide a report of what they find. It gives us a way to give feedback to Floralan and things that we know, gives more eyes on the community, and it has turned out to work out to be a very nice system. We meet monthly on the 4th Monday of each month, and our members, when we select new members, we advertise and ask for volunteers. We very often have a hard time getting enough volunteers to keep the committee full with the amount of people that we have. And as time goes on, we're going to have more members, because it is quite a task for an individual to have the responsibility for a very large area and adequately do that and come back and report to each meeting what they find. The qualifications for being a member of the landscape committee is, number one, that you're interested in landscaping, because that's what we deal with, and your willingness to assume the responsibilities of overseeing the area that you're assigned to. And we welcome any of you. We don't have any current vacancies right now, but we're continuously rotating people in and out of the committee through different for different reasons, health issues, change of resident status, people moving in and out. Some people find themselves, all of the people that you find sitting on these committees, they get very involved in the community, and they do a lot of things. Some people wind up taking on too much responsibilities to be retired and, and decide that they're going to start giving up a few of the things. And some of the things that we do is actually, we've had some members that have just felt like it was not that great of a challenge to just come and sit and talk about the weeds and the pruning and all of that sort of thing. So it gets kind of boring, but we try to keep it moving forward. Just to give you a little bit of an idea of what we have to deal with in Solivita, with the landscape characteristics that we have here, we have very poorly drained soils, and that creates growing plants to be a real challenge. And it's also highly variable. You find some areas that are well drained, others that are extremely poorly drained. Then we have situations in between homes where the water accumulates when the homes are close together. We have a hard time with drainage. And one of the unfortunate things is that the drainage issues is one of our biggest things that we have to deal with, but it really is not, according to our documents, an HOA issue. It's a homeowner issue. And so that disappoints a lot of people. But it's unfortunately, until we come up with some way of modifying that, we're having to live with it. One of the things that happens is a lot of people do not realize that the water that runs off your house, when you have these houses closest together, if you can direct it in a direction so that it doesn't fall in that narrow area, like your downspouts, direct them out to a hard surface, or direct them out the back of your house where maybe it will go out to an area that's not draining in between the two houses. It's something I've worked on in my house, and has helped tremendously. If you want to know basically where our home sites are right now, of the way that what it looked like as it was being developed. All you have to do is to drive down Village Center Road and see all of that earth moving and pond digging and all of that in there, and they're just totally disturbed soils, in which you take the topsoil and bury it down deep, so we wind up with soils that just are not natural soils that we have to grow plants in. And so it turns out to be a real challenge. One of the things that we're starting to deal with is that in our older areas, the homes are now 17, 18 years old, and the plants that were originally planted with the homes are getting old. They're just like many of us. The older you get, the weaker you get, and you have less vigor to be able to push forward. And so we're having to do a lot of plant replacement. And we really want to keep our community looking pristine. And so we're embarking on a program this year in which we're going to start a massive plant replacement in these older areas. And that's going to take us years to move through, keeping up with the aging areas. But this year we're actually dedicating an extra $200,000 in the budget to start this annual plant replacement of older and decaying plants. And that's in addition, actually that's $300,000. And in addition to that, we already have another $200,000 in that is just our normal plant replacement. So we've got a big chunk of money coming into the budget this year for plant replacement. And we hope to keep moving forward to keep our homes looking beautiful and presentable. One of the things that we had problems with this last year, as everyone remembers, we had a big hurricane last September, Hurricane Irma. And we started, because a lot of the oak trees that we've been planting have struggled to survive in these soils. And so we found a particular live oak tree called a cathedral live oak. It grows more upright, particularly when it's young. Once it gets up a little bit middle-aged, it starts spreading out and looks more like the other live oaks. But you'll notice that all of the oak trees that we're planting now are all this new cultivar called cathedral live oak. Just going over the different kind of contracts, sometimes people don't realize that Floralan, they are our landscape contractor, but we don't have a contract with them for every single thing that we do. We separate out a couple of different things that they don't even have anything to do with, and that is the tall palm tree pruning, that we have to come in with the machinery and get up high and prune those out, which we do twice a year, and the mulch application. Tyler has contracts with different vendors for those other two things, other than the regular landscape that Floralan does. And Floralan takes care of our homes, our common areas. They have a separate contract with the CDDs for maintaining the areas behind homes that are on ponds. The mowing around that is still done by Floralan. You may think it's part of the HOA, but if you happen to live on a pond where your property line ends and the type of grass changes from there down to the pond, that's the CDDs, and they do it simultaneously, and it makes it very convenient to have the same contractor doing both the HOA mowing and the CDD mowing. We also have a responsibility of maintaining Cypress Parkway all the way up through the town center. That's performed by us, by our HOA. As some kind of an agreement, don't want to get into that deeply, but there was an agreement that was made years ago to get us out of the PCD, Poinciana Villages, and paying a portion of that HOA. So we pulled out, but we agreed to maintain Cypress Parkway all the way through the town center. Just to give you an idea of the importance of the landscape committee and the landscape portion of our budget, our total landscape budget is about $6 million. The overall budget is about $11,500,000. So we're a little over half of the total budget represented by the HOA. And Joyce sort of went over of how the SAC committee is really a liaison, as are we. We have a multi-pronged liaison responsibility with the residents. Any of you who have issues and you go through the regular channels, which I'm going to mention in a few minutes, to try to get someone to deal with the issues. If you don't get the response that you expect, you can get in touch with the landscape committee. You can call me personally. I freely give out my home phone number and my email address, and spend a lot of time every week going and visiting with residents, trying to help them resolve the issues. Sometimes it's understanding the issues, like we mentioned a few minutes ago, drainage issues are not part of the HOA responsibility. People just don't realize that. And then there are many things, all of our contract with Floralan is specified, certain things they do on certain timing and so forth, and the amount of fertilizer they put out, how often they fertilize, how often they spray, how often they do these different things. It's all specified in the contract. And when someone wants something over and above what we're paying them for, that's something that you can't expect to receive unless you ask them to do something special for you. And a lot of times, those are the issues. But I spend a lot of time going out and talking to people and understanding their concerns. And then I get together with Floralan, and Brad goes over and talks to them, works out the issues, where his workers weren't doing things just right, and so forth. And we usually, almost always, are able to walk away with happy residents. The other people that we liaison with is the management team. I'm constantly, or we on the committee are constantly in liaison with Brad. With Rudy Bautista and with Tyler, working with them in the same way that we do with Floralan, and trying to work for the residents. Anybody who wants to get some work done, or you have a problem with your landscape, those of you who might be here that are new and haven't learned all of the different ways to be able to communicate, there's a concierge desk, a Floralan right in the lobby of the administration building, and there's a permanent Floralan person there to be able to take your questions and help you be able to resolve your problems. They also have a website where you can place your work order directly on the website. You can call Floralan and give them a work order by telephone. You can call if you don't get responses for whatever reason from Floralan. You can call Rudy Bautista, and Rudy will come visit with you. You can get in touch with Tyler Heel. You can send an email to landscapecommittee@solivitahoa.com, and that comes to Tyler and Rudy and to me, and we will attend to each and every of those requests as quickly as possible. And you can also send an email directly to my personal email, which is donovanbrown@me.com. So we're really pleased with the way things have been going for us in the last couple of years. We are in the process of renewing our contract with Florilan for the coming year. Basically, there's no real difference in cost, other than they're added new homes, and so the new homes that automatically get added each time they're turned over add a little bit more to the contract. But if any of you ever have any questions, please feel free to give me a call or send me an email, and I'd be very happy to come over and visit with you. Thank you.
All right, Florilan, Bradley, it's your turn.
First, I want to thank all of you guys for singing happy birthday in Tyler. Appreciate that. I'm blessed. I just wanted to share some numbers with you for the past 2 years that we've been here at Solivita. We actually started on November the 3rd, 2016. But I wanted to share some numbers with you from 2017 work order numbers per department versus this year. So in 2017, we had 13,597 work orders issued to us for various things, and I'll go over that in just a second on another slide. Versus this year, I know it's not over yet, but we're almost there, 10,126 work orders. So we're about 3,400 work orders less in 18 than we were in 17. And we hope to get that lower even in 19. So 2017 work order breakdown. The largest one, of course, is our maintenance work orders at 6,823. Those work orders consist of, I have dead plants, you've ran over my air conditioner, to I wanted something trimmed, those types of things. Fert and pest at 1,247. That's for anything that needed to be fertilized, if you found some insects, those types of things. The other big one is the irrigation. We all know that it's a huge community, huge irrigation system, a lot of moving parts. 5,588 work orders issued in. And then the last will be our landscape department. Those are landscape requests. Most are extra landscaping that you may want to pay for. And or questions or dead plants, those types of things at 1,933. Versus 2018, maintenance work orders actually goes down in maintenance, 5,675. Our fert and pest, 1,023. Irrigation went down to 3,677. And our landscape request, I believe, went up a little bit. So as you can see, the three major components, the maintenance, our irrigation department, and our fert and pest, all those numbers are starting to reduce the longer that we're here on site. Some project updates I wanted to go over with you guys. I know everybody's been waiting for sod installation. Trust me, I want to put it out there as fast as you want to get it out there. You know, we went through a really wet summer. We had over 90 plus inches of rain here just in Solivita. That's not including where the sod farms are at. So we had a really bad problem of fungus this year. We didn't want to bring the fungus in. Replace the sod, you're happy, and then 2 weeks later it dies and you're calling me back. So we wanted to wait till it was pristine. We're currently getting in sod now that's absolutely beautiful. We give weekly updates on the sod. If you're not registered with the weekly update with the HOA website, please do so. We update every week with what we've got going on in the community. Right now, we're currently working in Zone 6 and some other areas throughout the community on the sod. If you have any questions with the sod, if you want to make sure that you're on the replacement list, just contact our office or send us an email and or a work order, and we'll be glad to get that information to you. Plant installation is ongoing weekly. Every day, every week, we're installing new plants, removing old plants. If you have dead plant material and you're not sure that it has been inventoried, please again give us a call, send us an email, and we'll be able to check that for you. We've actually changed the way that we do our plant installation or plant replacement now. Instead of compiling a huge list over a couple month period, we actually fill out an order ticket or order it every 2 weeks. So instead of waiting 6 months to get plants or 3 months to get plants, you're getting them within a month. Palm tree removal. We had a huge problem with disease this past year with palm trees, so we've removed hundreds of palm trees throughout Solivita. Our last removal was about 40 palm trees that we just did a few weeks ago. If you have a stump in your front yard, that will be coming out very soon. I know they're unsightly, but our next order has already been placed. The trees have to be dug and transported here. And we've got that slated for the first week in December. Again, if you're not registered through the website for the weekly updates, please do so. It helps answer a lot of questions for a lot of folks. And then the coffee talks, we also have a coffee talk once a month. Our next coffee talk is November the 16th at 9 o'clock, right here. You might win something, right? We give away gift cards, we give away gift certificates. We had a huge winner right here, $1,000 last month. So please come and join us at November 16th. And then thank you, Solivita, for 2 years. And that's all I got for today. Thank you, guys.
All right, and I'll speak real quick just to the plant replacement process. When work orders are put in, zone managers usually will head out there, or if I'm contacted, or if need be, Rudy and or myself, with Brad, or just Rudy and I may go out. And when we get a work order or a phone call for a dead plant, we just don't put you on the list for replacement. We first want to put our eyes on it, because maybe we need to prune it, hard prune it, fertilize it, maybe there's an irrigation issue. So we do try to see what we need to do first before we just replace it. And we do, we replace what's there. And Donovan didn't mention this, but another thing the landscape committee did along with Brad this year is we developed a plant palette for Solivita specifically of plants that do well and thrive here in Solivita. And so those are if we have plants that are, let's say, get eaten by deer, if we put something else in, we're going to go off of the palette that we know works well here. And that's something we've also shared with Tim Morrison as far as the installation of new homes go as well. So thanks, guys, for that. On the community update, you can see the numbers there. The total number of units through October, 4542. New construction through October, 97. Resale through October, 278. Again, the beginning count proposed, for January would be 4669, and then the new closings proposed for 2019 at 210. As far as go to the next one. As far as the standards, community standards, you can see the requests there. Just over 800 requests. Top requests being landscape, alterations, screen enclosures, house painting, etc. All right, we get to the financial review. I'm going to go through parts of the budget that were increased or had a change to them. So I'll start with that. Donovan did touch on the landscape replacement. We went ahead and slated $300,000 for those selected older neighborhoods to start with. We'll see how that goes. We're going to have a program in place with Rudy's help and the landscape committee's help, where we will be visiting those areas, putting the plan together so that homeowners know exactly what's being replaced. It's not just we're not going to just come in and take everything out. It's kind of going to be a per home evaluation. So you'll be seeing a lot more information about that come out. With that, the actual general landscape replacement, it was $250,000 this year. Next year, we dropped it to $200,000. With the hope, obviously, we're not going to replace all the same plants again. As we put better plants in and get a better manage on irrigation, etc., we're hoping to be able to replace less and less as we go here. We had an increase in our insurance coverage for the association. That's based on claims from this current year. We were not renewed due to excessive claims. Those were slip and falls, and so we had a big increase there. That's what that is. The reserve study line, we are going to update our current study in 2019, and we're also going to include in there for the courtyard section for painting, because painting is covered by the association, so we'll have some reserve numbers through that reserve study once we get that updated. I touched on the landscape replacement line, how that actually went down, and the reason for that. The cable contract, we touched on that a little bit. We did the contract currently calls for a 4% increase each year. We just left it as is because we're in negotiations with them right now. Spectrum came to us with a new deal, and the current contract has that wording where we are able to negotiate. So when Convergent, who was negotiating for us, contacted me, I said, I want the same verbiage in the new contract, because that was one thing that Spectrum was taking out. But the new deal that they presented is 200 plus channels. Right now there's 2 sets of basic channels, some of you know that, so it's kind of confusing. So it's 200 channels, plus internet's included. And they wanted to charge, and everybody gets new equipment, but they wanted to charge an extra $10 per home. So when I had the negotiating company contact me, I said, well, here's the deal they're offering. I want it lower, and I want all these same services. So that's what they're currently doing for us now. So we'll see what kind of deal, what kind of numbers they come back to us with. I'm hoping to have a meeting with them next week, and then I'll be in touch with the board and with managers here just to see how we want to proceed. The landscape contract Donovan touched on, that's increasing obviously just as the number of homes increase. And then the common area is increasing. There was one area that was added for 2019. Palm tree trimming, those are our 16-foot and higher palm trees that we need to bring the vendor in. Just with more palms being taller, that's an increase. Floor line does trim some of those up to a certain height, and that's why you see the 16 foot here, 16 foot above the association trims. Mulching, in the past I think 3 years, we had what we call the caretaker program, where we had broken community into 3 sections. Some of the older areas had a good 6 inches of mulch, and it's just too much. So in those areas, that year we didn't put mulch, or we did just a dusting. And so that's why you see the increase, because there is no caretaker program. That's been completed. This year was the 3rd leg of that. And so we're still working on some pricing for that, but we were able to save over $170,000 by using a third-party vendor. We've got a couple other things we may try also as far as in the common areas, but we are still working on those final numbers, but that's just the estimate. That's why the increase, because there's no more caretaker program. The management contract, Craig touched on already, that just gets us more in line to where you'll be a turnover. The security contract couple things in that one. There was an increase built into the contract. Also in there is the monthly preventative maintenance contract for the LPR system. Currently there's not one, so I need to get that in place so that we have preferred when we call in for service, and then also as far as getting repairs done timely, that will help with that. So that's included in there. Let's see. The aquatic maintenance contract, there were 4 ponds added actually in January, so we've been a little bit over budget each month on that, but that is included now for 2019. Those are the highlights. We'll go ahead and go to the Q&A now, where you can ask your questions. Again, it's association business, and just if you can state your name and address, and we'll be happy to answer some questions for you.
Good morning. My name is Percival Darby, 630 Irving Ranch Road, and just have a few questions. This kind of development, is it under the condominium laws of Florida or any of those other laws that are there? For example, the developers are having the homeowners pay for decorations to help sell their property here. They're not finished developing, so under unusual condominiums and timeshare and all that kind of stuff, which I've been associated with, that's part of sales. Why are we paying for it? If the roads are pretty coming in, you sell more development. So why are we all paying for their beautiful roads from town center to here? Question one.
Let's answer one at a time. We'll go through each one. The first one, we're under 720. It's the Master Plan Association. So the HOA law is 720. We're not under the Condo Act of 680, right? 718. Sorry, 718 is the Condo Act. As far as the roads that you're talking about, are you talking about the Parkway, right-of way? The signs, we don't pay for the HOA. That's through marketing with Taylor Morrison. That, what Domino was talking about, that fee is there's an agreement, and if you were here back, I think in 2010, I want to say that agreement, 2009, that agreement went in place with the APV next door to us, that everybody was paying into the APV that lived in Solivita back in 2009, 2008, 2007.
About taxes?
They were paying into the APV. So to get out of that agreement with the APV, we said we take care of the maintenance of the right-of-way. Basically going from the bridge all the way down to Solivita, and that's the entrance for prospects and everybody. We want to make sure it looks good. We maintain it, not the APV. So that's when that agreement went in place. So from that agreement in 2009, 2010, the HOA is taking care of that part. And that's just the landscape. That's the mow, trim, edge. That's all that is to take care of that entryway all the way to Solivita. Does that make sense?
Okay, I understand that. Thank you. One other question I had in mind is with regards to slip and falls. I guess with insurance, you have that kind of, the insurance rates are going to go up. Is there a committee that works and maintains and inspect the area to see where possible slip and falls? I go to court to sue people for slip and falls in hotels, restaurants, and those kind of things. So I'm familiar with that.
Absolutely. So we would love anybody that wants to have interest. I know the advisory's got, landscape's gotten involved too, as well as the committee. They're more trip and falls. It's more the oak trees that are uprooting the sidewalks. So when people are walking along, they trip over and fall. So they're suing basically the HOA for medical, and that's what's happening. We've been maintaining, you guys know, we've been maintaining sidewalks forever. It's just, as you know, as the oak tree roots keep pushing things up, we're grinding, we're replacing constantly, but it's gonna happen. So we've had a number of those trip and falls in every community in the state of Florida, guys, not just Solivita. Every oak tree community that's out there, which is all communities pretty much in Florida, have the same issue right now with trip and falls, and the claims that go against the insurance. But I will tell you, if we keep a good, clean history, we show our maintenance logs. So the insurance providers want to see that when claims come in, they want to see that too as well. So we show them our maintenance logs and our tracking and taking care of the sidewalks. That's going to help us, but it's always going to continue to escalate as you know, more trip and falls do happen. But the advisory is involved, and the landscape committee, I know, is looking at how we can deal with the sidewalks in a better way.
John Harris, 1048 Harbor Ridge Drive. My question is there a standard regarding the landscaping is there a standard for when you move in as to how the quality of the landscaping? Where I live it's okay, but there are parts of it that are really scraggly. And it's been that way for almost the entire year that I've been here. So I want to know, if I call to get that looked at, is that an expense to me, or is that, especially since it's not a year until next month, is that something landscaping would do?
Yeah, that would go through the HOA. So you could contact, either put a work order in, or you can contact Brad directly, or myself, or Rudy. Probably the best way, I mean, unless there's, unless you want me to come look at it, if you do the work order system, then it's tracked. And if it's online, obviously you put your email in, so whoever comments on that work order, you get the update, you can see what's going on with it. That's probably the best way. Not the only way, but maybe the best way currently. But yes, put your work order in, we'll come take a look. And if they're struggling, you know.
And there is fertilization schedules that you can see too, as far as for your shrubs and your trees in your yard too as well. And then when they trim and mow, health schedules there. So what I would do for you, especially your homeowners, is you put that work order in, meet with your area rep, and Brad will coordinate that, and Rudy too as well, and they'll come out and meet with you and talk about it. Okay.
Gentleman behind you that keeps coming in and out.
I just want to follow up. We're talking about the oak trees, and I just had a couple sections of my sidewalk repair, and it was done on a timely basis, which I'm happy about. However, I do notice that some of the pavers in the common area, as part of the easement in our driveways, is also being dislodged and raised. What is the HO's procedure to take care of those common areas, especially our driveways? That's a liability too as well.
Yeah, pavers are the homeowner's responsibility, so your driveway paver that's leading to your house, that's homeowner responsibility. The sidewalk concrete areas, we're taking that on.
Even those in the common easement?
What we've done is we have contracted with Floralan, will help us with this. They remove the pavers, we will cut the roots out if it's the association tree and prune those roots. And then the homeowners will then, either we can give them a recommendation for the vendor we use, or you can use anybody, but they are responsible for putting those pavers back.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But if it's the association tree that's causing that to lift, we will come in and prune those roots.
Oh, terrific. Yeah, because I see a lot of that. I walk around a lot, walk every day, and I see papers being raised by the shallow roots. Also, I'm a member of the RV club. I recently talked to members in the past and the present, and I can tell you that we have RVs that are big, and these oak trees are damaging some of these RVs. Is there a policy in trimming them back and accommodating them?
Yep, that's something that Rudy and I both talked about, especially along the boulevard, along the main roads, getting those trees trimmed back.
Yeah, in years past, we had it where they go out, and I think Brad was involved in this too, and Rudy I know was involved in this. They take a big stick, and the tall as the RVs where they're going to be, and they're going to go down the line, and they trim it, and they box them out. You guys have probably seen it if you've lived here for a while down the main boulevards. They box them out, so it's getting time probably for that to happen again. Look at that. So,
yeah, because when you see as often as I am out, I've seen RVs going down the middle of the road. I've seen big trucks that are moving.
Our goal, and I know Donovan would probably say this, is to get the canopies above where they need to be, but during that growth of getting those canopies there, it's just going to have to, we're going to have to cut some of those branches off and box it out until the canopy gets high enough, but that takes time.
Also, I noticed that in our community, there's some damage from Irma, especially in our backyards, that hasn't been cleaned up yet. Perhaps that's an oversight. What can we do about that?
Is it in the wetland area, or is it in common area, or?
Kind of in the common area.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it? Is it trees down, or is it
just a tree down,
okay.
Uprooted, trimmed back, but not completely taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah, if you just reach out to me,
okay.
and we'll come out and take a look and just see what's going on. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, I'm Don Gregg from Terra Vista.
Regarding Spectrum, just curious as to what speed internet we're negotiating with them. Reason I ask is they advertise 100, we've got like 20 or so here in the community, and when I call them, you know, they'll say, oh wow, we can give you that, but you have to leave your club's rate, and we can do it for you cheaper. I say, well, will you hold that price? Well, no, that's not guaranteed. Next year it will go up higher. How much will it go up? I don't know, I can't tell you. And if you call in 3 times, you get 3 different answers from Spectrum. So somebody said before, they don't recognize we're here. They don't even recognize what their rates and policies are. So the 2 questions, one, what rate are we looking at negotiating? And secondly, can you put any pressure on them to standardize how they're talking to people when they communicate with us?
Great questions, and I dealt with Spectrum on my house just recently, and I went through everything you guys have experienced, and I canceled them and moved on. But I will say this, so I don't have a bulk cable agreement at my house, so I'm open to do what I want. I did hire them and fire them really quick, but I will say this, with the internet speed, we're going for top speed, because the new equipment that's going to be installed, you guys are going to get their highest speed that they can offer Solivita right now, so we're going for the highest speed. Your second part of your question, drawing a blank, what was the second part? Oh yes, Spectrum be better when you call in. So Spectrum, as they got bought out and went through all their transitions, they were putting together a call center. Now they're back on that again. They don't have a call center. You go into general call center right now with anybody. So if I'm an independent homeowner outside of Solivita, you're calling the same number. They're putting together right now, as we speak, a call center for bulk cable. And Charter and all the other companies had that before, but when they mixed them all together, they got rid of those divisions. If that makes sense, it made all go into one call branch. Now they're putting together a bulk cable call line. So when you call into that line, they'll know what you're talking about and what contracts you have. Because right now when you call in, they, like I said, they don't know if you're under any bulk cable agreement or not. So they're working on that, is what we've been told. We've been very frustrated with them. I'll just share that with you. And that's why we got a third-party contractor to really work and hammer them home a little bit harder.
They actually just opened up that bulk number.
Did they just open it up?
Awesome. So we'll get us out with the bulk number.
Okay. Maybe an email from you guys to the community regarding the fact that you are going after the high rate. So tell people, don't leave the correct contract to get the higher rate. Because people are, like me, are probably calling in and saying, how come I don't get the high rate? Well, you can get it if, and then you're out of the contract and it's just a mess.
Absolutely. Our goal was to hopefully have some of you guys before this annual meeting, but as you guys know, Spectrum is very difficult to work with. So we've gotten no response. The consultants are...
I was supposed to meet with them Tuesday, was it yesterday? But then it got delayed because on Spectrum's end, they needed to go to corporate, so they weren't ready. And so my meeting, I think, is next week, next Tuesday, I believe it is, when I'm meeting with Convergent, which is the company that's negotiating. So I'll have
and hopefully we'll get an email blast out shortly after that.
Good morning, Bill Brown, 952 San Rafael Street. Craig, a couple of questions maybe on the budget. I didn't notice any water and sewer, and just utilities in general. How do we allocate the sales center versus the HOA?
Great question. So sales and HOA, that's all through the club side budget. So it really doesn't have nothing. The club pays for all of that. The sales, they have their own meters that they pay for themselves. They're individual, separate away from that. So we separated all that when we knew possibility of selling the amenities. To see that was all separated. We do have, Sue has done a really great job sitting over there taking care of our accounting side. She's broken out every utility meter for the HOA. You know, if it's irrigation or monument lighting or gate parkway, whatever it may be, she's broken out every utility. So that's taken care of through there. So we have it all broken out and we have it divided.
Okay, thank you. The second question, I guess I'm not sure it's appropriate, but the original agenda had appointment of HOA. Can you share your transition plan? Like 5,035, I think is the 90% number. Can you share your transition plan to get members, the residents onto the HOA?
Absolutely. You guys can jump in at any point in time, but I got it right here. I got it right here in front of me, and I'll share this with you guys. So right now if we get to the 4, 6, 6, 9 close by the end of this year, okay? You're looking at basically 210 units to be sold in 2019 if they hit their mark, okay? So at the end of 2019, you'll be at 4,879 closed units, okay? 90%, if we stay at the 5598, you're gonna be at 5,038 will be transition, okay? So 5,038, so you're looking at about early 2021 is what you're looking at for transition date to the residents. And during what we're going to do is 8 months prior to that, the advisory committee, and I want to make sure people understand, is the advisory committee will be start that transition committee. Okay, they're already set up. They will start with that, so that the advisory will start that transition. We'll have layers off the advisory. You have a finance committee. You'll have your contract committee. You have your security committee. Your landscape committee. All will fall under the advisory. That's why we set it up. So when transition comes. The election comes, election has to happen once 90% is made, per statute, 90 days after, okay? So once we hit the 5,038 number, we have 90 days to transition this community over to homeowners. They'll do the election, the ballots will go out, homeowners, any homeowner can be on the HOA, okay? It's gonna go to a 5-member board at that time when we meet. 1 member will be Taylor Morrison, 4 will be residents of Solivita. Once it's at 100%, that Taylor Morrison goes bye-bye, and it'll be Kelly probably. We'll keep her on there forever. So, but in general, that'll be the transition plan.
But will we be transitioning like 1 or 2 residents first? No, it's going to be cut and dry.
No, we tried to do that, and Taylor Morrison said, not right now. Let's get in here and let's understand more of what's going on. We want to understand that before we put anybody on that board.
Well, I'm not saying it shouldn't be done now, or it shouldn't have been done now, but I think it would be better to transition 1 or 2 on to get a little familiarity rather than do a hard cut.
Yeah, our goal was supposed to be the advisory chair and the landscape chair come on the board. So you have a couple more people on the board. So it would go to a 5-member. So you have 3 Taylor Morrison and 2 residents. Taylor Morrison still has all the power. I mean, sure. It gives them an idea of what's going on. They get a voice. Right now, currently, and I think some of you guys, I've seen next door posts that have been sent to me. I've seen all the communication that's out there. You think you're getting away with saying stuff on there, we see it, you send it to us. And then we sit there and just laugh at it a lot of times because it's not true, but people are talking about it. But the one thing about transition you guys got to understand is when we get there, residents will be taken on. I'd rather gear people up to know what's going on in this association. And really the HOA, just to make sure we all understand, it's landscape and security and architectural control, your roads and your sidewalks. That's it. It's not amenities, it's not the CDD, the ponds, that's the HOA, that's what you're meeting here today. So we wanted to just make sure the landscape, which has basically the majority of the budget, 7 million of a 10 million 5, I just want to correct Donovan's number on there, 10 million 5. So it's majority of the budget. That's why I wanted a landscape chair on there, because that's where all the money's coming through. So we want to make sure the decisions from the homeowners are heard by Taylor Morrison. We still do that every other week, and I've said this, and I've had some homeowners go, what is it, does this just start? It's been here since 2011, guys. I started when I got here in 2011. Every couple of weeks or every month, the chairs got with the developer at some point about what they're working on, and decisions that need to be made by Taylor Morrison or AP Homes. That's been going on forever. So right now, Donovan and Joyce, who are sitting here every 2 weeks, get on the phone with Matt Porta, myself, Mandy, Tyler, all the whole team to go over operations of the HOA, not the club, the HOA, what goes on. And those two talk about what they're talking about today, their agendas, things they want to see worked on, the landscape improvements, to security measures, to whatever it may be. That's their forum with Taylor Morrison. So we're going to keep to that plan. That's not going to change. It's just they won't be on the board until transition, most likely.
Thank you. Just, you really burst my balloon. I thought next door was gospel.
Hi, my name is Harmony Mendelo. I live in the courtyard. I want to know what's happening with reserves.
All right, reserves. So right now you guys are funded in reserves 1.3 million, just shy of 1.3, right, Tyler?
Yep.
Currently in. Let me pull the financials. I'll tell you exactly. I got one right behind me. Yeah, you guys right now in reserves with Popular Bank, you have 1,269,000 that's in reserves. There are a transition of storm damage reserve, the popular of 200-something thousand to be transferred in there. So you just shy of 1.5 million in reserves total will be in your operating. Right now, we're in the fair range. What that means is that if something would happen, and you got to think you have no assets besides the guardhouse, a couple main guardhouses, and if it was a storm that came as an insurance claim. So really the only thing that reserves are meant for the HOA, your roadways, your sidewalks, and your irrigation system at the end of the day, and your guardhouses in case you got to repair the roof to them, the tiles and the roofs and stuff like that within it. So those are your components of the reserve study. We're right now in the tune of 800-something thousand going to reserves every year. Right now they're taking reserves out for repair of the sidewalks, which you heard with the trip falls, to repair those sidewalks throughout Solivita, which is a big ticket number. And then also seal coating of some of the streets and throughout Solivita. We've always done that rotation seal coat. And I explain to people what the seal coat is for is the underlayment. So please remember that. It's not to look good for these guys that sell homes. It's to protect the underlayment. So we don't get the potholes. We don't get the separation in the asphalt is fine. It's normal. It's part of what it's supposed to. The underlayment is what we care about. You know, the top and the cracks I don't care about. It's the underlayment, because the underlayment starts to buckle and crack. Then you're gonna have the potholes, you're gonna have issues, which we've had some, and they had to take care of this year. They did some mining and milling. We're gonna do a reserve study and update, which Tyler mentioned, in 19 with a separate company. So McKinsey did the one 2-3 years ago, and now we're gonna update it with a new company. Association Reserves is gonna come in and do our update this year in 19 and go through all of our components and make sure that we're on funding to be funded properly for the association for at transition. And at transition, guys, so you know this, an engineer study will be completed at transition. So at the 90%, Taylor Morrison will do an engineer study of the roads, sidewalks, your amenities that are here, or basically not the amenities, but the HOA homes. That reserve study, if there's any issues, defects, whatever it may be, it's going to be addressed at that time as transition happens, if that makes sense. So when you guys get the roads, the sidewalks, if there's any defects or issues that are there, it's going to be taken care of and addressed before the association takes on.
Okay, thank you. I have another.
Yes, go for it.
Okay, so I live in the courtyards, especially on Fallbrook, and we've had a major problem with these dirt trucks going back and forth on our street. We can never keep it clean. It is impossible. Okay, and all the new homes that are being built, what is being told to us is that this is the only road that they can use to bring all the dirt, and we are constantly having dirty roads. My golf cart got filthy even in the garage. I mean, it's just horrific, and we're very unhappy about it. And it cannot be the only way for all these homes to be built, and we need a different solution for this. So I'd like to know what is happening with that, and what is the truth about that.
So the roads, and this is the construction side, I don't know if Matt and you guys want to jump in on it, but as far as they do have street sweepers that do try to come in and help out.
Doesn't help much.
Yeah, during construction, as you know, it's just going to be dirty, especially if it rains. It's
No,
very
not
tough.
that street, not construction on that street.
Okay.
That is the road that they are bringing dirt from everywhere to build the new places around the golf course, around everywhere. I'm not talking about the courtyard, that's almost done.
Okay.
Those houses are almost finished.
So we can appreciate that question. As we were made aware of the concerns while the primary site activity was ongoing. The site activity itself, the primary hauling, if you will, has been completed now for roughly a month, 2 months. What is going on currently is the vertical construction side for home building. While traffic will continue to utilize Fallbrook for access to that new community, the debris, if you will, as a result of that should have drastically been reduced due to the site work being completed.
How long is this trucks going back and forth constantly? How long has that been going? It's a lot of noise. It's a pain in the butt. Telling you. Would you please?
Yeah, we'll look into
I mean,
it
they're
again.
huge trucks. They're huge trucks. They're piled with dirt and whatever other paraphernalia.
Yeah, dirt trucks should be done, but we will look into it.
Okay, that's good. Construction times of construction, so, yeah.
Tony Iota was here.
Thank you.
He said that trucks would come in only by the construction site. That day had a special role. I've seen them come in over Marigold, and I've seen them come in above the road that leads to the ponds. It's the security guards are letting them in. If they go, if they come in off of the new road where the parkway is, you're limited to that area, which is where you got all your construction. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and, you know, the construction access is something that we'll also look into. Again, with the ongoing site activities that we've had, both behind the club and also down Village Parkway there, those should be coming to a head here, as everyone can see. I do understand the inconvenience and the debris. We tried our best to stay on top of that with regular sweeping and maintaining those areas. But we will take another look into those matters and stay in touch with our construction supers.
Any other questions?
Good morning, my name is Thaddeus Cristola, 512 Greeny Way. Last year I attended this meeting and their proposal for our HOA increases was undetermined because of the results of the hurricane. We didn't understand how much that cost was going to be. In the past, my HOA fees have gone up anywhere from $5 to $6 to $7 a year for the past few years. Since that meeting last year, they came up with another proposal, the proposed schedule for 2018, and instead of just the normal increase of $5, $6, $7 was an increase of $12. My HOA went from 138 to 150, and this was the proposal. The books, our pay books, didn't even come out until after the original due date we were supposed to start paying. And when those books came out, the actual cost increased to $155, and that's a $17 increase from year to this year. I called Tyler, and he said, after a giggle, says, this is just the increase of storm damage from the hurricane. Instead of putting a one-time assessment on each individual resident, they spread it out in the HOA. And I said, okay, I understand that. He says, well, why is it so much? He says, well, the increase is because of the storm damage. We didn't have any storm damage from Irma to the present time, and our HOA is still going up. And the chairman said, well, it'll probably go down because we won't project any hurricanes. So my question is, will the books be coming out on time? And will there be an additional increase from the proposal this time to the actual HOA costs?
Great questions. The books, the reason why we had a delay, and we've had delays in years past, because our meetings weren't until like December 5th or the 10th. So by the time we go in and get our books out to the book manufacturer that makes them, of course, they're slammed with every other association across the United States to get those books out. So it put us into January, those going out. So that's the reason why you see the meeting today is in early November. So we have a bunch of lead time now to get your books out. That was our goal. Because a lot of associations do their annual meetings and budget meetings in December. And then it just backpiles all those printing offices, and we use LetterStream as the name of the company, and they just get bombarded with requests. So that's the answer on that. Your increases shouldn't have gone up that much, so I'd like to see how you've seen how they've gone up $17 and all that. I'd like to sit with you and see that.
Okay.
And I'll say after the meeting, I'll sit here and we'll go through that. Your storm damage, as far as the hurricane, that was in last year's budget, and that was exceeded as far as the cost, as far as.
It was $5.53, so it was, if I remember correctly, it was $9.50 is what the dues were going up, and then additionally, there was the $5.53 that was added to that.
Yeah. And reserves got increased too. When we did the reserve study with McKinsey, that's why you guys jumped up a ton too. That was the first jump you probably saw, is that they said, hey, you need to increase your reserve funding to XYZ. So I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, we increased it quite a bit to get the reserve funding up. And then you had the storm damage, and now reserve went up again. So you're having that, plus the palm tree pruning, and then also the landscape replacement of $300,000. And then the insurance too as well. So as you see, all those things are jumping in there. Our goal is ultimately, like I said, when we get to build out, it settles at that point in time. You're always wanting to, as a developer, every developer we work for, it's not Amy Homes, Taylor Morrison, they keep assessments somewhat low. Why? To sell homes, right? To help people buy homes. And you start to staircase that up over the years to get to where your build out is at. And at build out, you usually see it flatten out, residents get on, they put everything out to bid, right? Your contracts go down a little bit, contracts go down here and here, and you start to see it maybe dip down a little bit or stay even where it's at. Hopefully we'll see increases from that point. But it all depends on insurance claims, landscape, security in the HOA.
And like I say, we're on a fixed income.
Correct.
We like to keep it percentage-wise equal all the way up. Your increases are comparable to our increase, small increases.
Absolutely. Our goal is hopefully not to have increases. That's our goal. When we go through these management contracts and the proposals and stuff like that, we don't want to increase it, but we know to get to our build-out schedule where it's supposed to be, there's going to be increases that are needed to get there. And then once we get there, hopefully it flattens out for you guys. Our goal is not to see increases, but like I said, with the increases that we saw this year in the hurricane damage, we just don't budget for that. So when it does come, if I did a special assessment, I said this last year, if I did a special assessment to you guys, it would have cost a lot more to special assess homeowners because there's all the mailing costs, all the collection fees, you have to go through statute. So I'd rather just put it in, take it out of reserves and have you guys pay it back this year without hitting you with all the additional costs. So try to save you guys money versus doing a special assessment. Once it turns over to homeowner control without the developer here, you're gonna have some special assess when a hurricane does it, okay?
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
Yes, come after me and we'll sit down and love you. Yep.
All right. Well, once again, we'll be here afterwards, so if you want to come speak to us or have additional questions, please reach out. We do have another meeting real quickly after this, just to approve the budget. So if you could stick around just briefly here while we go through that, that'd be great. So at this time, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting of the membership, please?
Make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, please let the record reflect that it was passed, and the meeting is adjourned at 12:07. One quick announcement, the club fees, they were emailed out this morning by e-blast, so you'll be receiving those by e-blast. All right, real quick, I'd like to call to order the annual meeting of the Board of Directors for Solivita Community Association, November 7th. Board members are present, and we do have a quorum. In accordance with the state statute, notice was mailed to everybody on or right around October 19th. In the interest of time, I'm not going to be reading the 2017 annual minutes. Are there any questions from the board on the minutes?
No.
I have a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Make a motion to accept as written.
Second? All in favor? Please let the record reflect that the board has passed the meeting minutes unanimously. Next item and final item is the 2019 proposed budget approval. Can I have a motion to accept the 2019 proposed budget for the Solivita Community Association as presented in the annual membership meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Please let the record reflect the board has passed the 2019 budget unanimously. Can I have a motion to adjourn this meeting, please?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Please let the record reflect the meeting was adjourned at 12:08. Thank you, everybody.